Hello, my name is Jasmine and I'm a food writer and a restaurant reviewer. I write about foodways and the delicious foods and food customs that people bring with them to Waterloo region. If you're new here, you're very welcome. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. And I am back. Who knew? But thanks to all of you lovely people who signed up for my last talk at the Waterloo Public Library, I've been asked to come back and talk about more international cuisines and make more cooking videos. And today, this cooking video is about a dish from Syria that combines sweet, tangy, garlicky, and earthy flavors along with lusciously soft, nubbly, and beautifully crispy textures. I'm going to show you how to make Fattet Makdous. This video is being made for my talk about Syrian cooking for the Waterloo Public Library. If you've stumbled upon this video, no worries, I'll put a link to the recipe in the description box. Now, Fattet Makdous is a stuffed aubergine dish similar to so many you can find in the Middle East and in the Mediterranean area. But what makes this dish Syrian is the use of pita. Now, to make this dish, you're actually making 5 really easy mini recipes. And they are fried aubergines, pita crisps, tomato sauce, hashweh, which is cooked meat, and leben bettini, which is a garlicky, yogurty tahini sauce. So I'm going to show you a way of making Fattet Makdous, which is pretty common, but I'm going to show you a couple of workarounds that may fit your situation better, whether it's the type of aubergine you can find or whether you're a little deep fat frying phobic. But one thing you should know is even though it's made with 5 little tiny recipes, you don't have to make it all on the same day. You can make these dishes a couple of days in advance and then reheat them the day you want to serve them. But don't worry, it's all really easy and you've got this. So first, let's talk about aubergines or eggplants or brinjal or melanzane or whatever you want to call them. Because you can't stuff an aubergine unless you've got an aubergine. So I asked my helper to run out and get me some, but he seemed to be a bit busy. So I went out and got some myself, which you can see here, and these are all examples of ones that can work with Fattet Makdous. And the ones I prefer to stuff are about 15 centimeters long, big enough to hold in one hand, and have a bit of girth to them, like these Italian eggplants and these graffiti eggplants. And while bigger isn't always better, I'll show you how to use these globe eggplants. And yes, you can use these cute plump little Indian ones, but they can run a little bitter. So what you might want to do is core out the flesh a bit before plunging them into boiling oil. So Fattet Makdous is usually made with these little tiny aubergines that are, at least around here, only available in the summer. And this being spring, I really didn't expect to find any. But I got a call from our local Syrian market who knew I was doing this video, and they had an unexpected shipment of the little mcdouce sized aubergines, and would I like some? And yes, I picked some up so you can see what they look like. So on the left is what I'd call a mcdouce sized aubergine. They do come smaller than this one, but this one is 12 centimeters from the top of the flower to the bottom button, and it weighs about 120 Gs. If you're using these or the smaller bambinos, then what I would do is portion 2 or 3 per person. In the middle is an Italian eggplant, and this one is 15 centimeters and 220 Gs. If you're using these, which is what I'm going to be using in this video, then prepare 1 per person. And finally, on the right is the globe eggplant, or the Western eggplant. And this one is 22 centimeters and weighs 660 grams. And with these, I'd portion 2 people per fruit. So let's get started. I'm going to begin with the aubergines, which can be made 2 days in advance and kept in the fridge. First, fill a high-sided pot with about 4 or 5 centimeters of oil. And you will need a high-sided pot because the oil can roil and bubble ferociously as the aubergines cook. Heat the oil to about 180 C or until a grain of rice that's dropped into it sinks and floats and bubbles to the top. While you're waiting for that to happen, slice off the stem ends of 6 to 8 Italian aubergines. When the oil comes to temp, fry the aubergines in batches about 2 to 3 minutes per side or until you can easily pierce their flesh with the tip of a sharp knife. This can take about 10 to 15 minutes per batch depending on their size and their density. When they're ready, remove them, drain them, and cool them on kitchen toweling. Just be sure to let the oil come back up to temp before frying the next batch. Now, if you don't want to get out a pot of oil, you can roast your aubergines. But I will say, I don't think they get quite as lusciously tender as when they're fried. But if you want to roast them, what you need to do is leave their tops on. That keeps as much of the moisture in as possible. And then pop them into a 190 C oven for about an hour or until they pass the knife test. When they're done, tent them in tin foil to cool. Now, if you're using the large globe or western eggplants, preheat your oven to 180 C and oil your foil-lined baking trays. Cut the fruit into 3 centimeter thick slices and then cut a slit halfway through the middle so it's like a pocket or a bao bun. When the oil comes to temp, rub olive oil over each side and into the cut. And then place them on a prepared tray. Bake them for 10 to 15 minutes per side or until they pass the knife test. Remove them and let cool. And since you have the pot of oil out and it's already heated, you can make your pita crisps. You can make these days in advance and keep them in a sealed container at room temperature. To make them, take 4 large pocket-style pitas, split the loaves, cut them into 8ths, roll them up like cigars, and then slice them into thin ribbons. When your oil is at 180 C, drop the ribbons in batches and fry until they're golden. This really doesn't take too long. It takes about 10 to 15 seconds per batch. Then remove and drain them on kitchen towels. Or you can make your own pita chips. Simply split the loaves, cut them into wedges, and bake them at 190 C for about 7 minutes. Or you can just go to the store and buy a bag of pita chips. It's okay, you can do that. Next, let's make the tomato sauce, and you can do this a couple of days in advance and keep it in the fridge until it's needed. Start by sweating 275 grams of thinly sliced onions with a pinch of salt in about 30 ml of olive oil. When they've softened, move the onions to the side and add 30 ml of tomato paste and fry until it darkens. Then mix the paste into the onions. Add about 750 grams of chopped tomatoes, 30 ml of pomegranate molasses, 5 ml of salt, two and a half ml of pepper, and 250 grams of water. Then stir occasionally as the pot comes to a boil. Then lower the flame and cover and simmer for 20 minutes, stirring occasionally. When it's done, the sauce should be loose but not too watery. So add more water to thin it out, or continue to simmer it, but simmer it uncovered to thicken it up if needed. And of course, balance flavors to taste. As far as the meat goes, you can make the hashweh the day before. Start by dry toasting 45 ml of pine nuts, or you can do what I'm doing and fry them in ghee or butter. When they've turned color, remove them and set aside. Keep the butter in the pan and add some olive oil. You want about 30 ml of fat in the pan. Then add 275 Gs of chopped onions and saute until golden. If you want to, Move the onions to the side and toast 5 ml of 7 spice for a few moments so it blooms. Then stir it into the onions. Then break up 500 Gs of ground beef as you add it to the pan. I do this by hand, but if you'd rather use a spoon, go for it. Add pepper and salt to taste. I'm using 7.5 ml of pepper and 3.75 ml of salt. Sauté, breaking up the mince so it's nice and nubbly and all traces of pink are gone, but the meat is still juicy. When done, drain off the excess fat and water and mix in the toasted pine nuts and set aside to cool. You can make the leban bettini a couple of days ahead and keep it in the fridge. Start by mixing together 500 ml of plain yogurt with 4 cloves of garlic that have been smooshed into a paste with a pinch of salt, 60 ml of tahini, and salt to taste. If you want, you can thin it with a bit of water, but that's totally up to you. And now that you have all the little mini recipes for the Fattet Makdous done, let's make Fattet Makdous. First, bring the tomato sauce to a simmer. And as it's warming up, cut a slit into the whole aubergines and open them up like a canoe. Fill each with a hashweh. And if you've made pockets, lie them flat and fill them. Once they're stuffed, add them to the simmering sauce and heat them for 3 to 4 minutes. Remove and set aside. Now you can build it as a casserole, as many do, but what I'm going to do is create an individual plate. Regardless of what you choose to do, you want to layer this similarly. Start with a bed of pita crisps, then pour on some tomato sauce, then place the aubergine on top and add more tomato sauce if you wish. Then spoon over the leban bettini. And then garnish it with chopped parsley, pomegranate arils, fried pine nuts, and if you wish, you can also add any remaining meat. When you're ready to eat, you can serve it with the extra sauces on the side if you want. And there you have it, Fattet Makdous, or Syrian stuffed aubergines. Now, since I've a surfeit of the purple fruit, I decided to make a sort of Middle Eastern nachos dish using the various recipes to make Fattet Makdous, but using pita chips instead of tortilla chips. To do this, cut the aubergine into 2-centimeter cubes, toss them in salt, pepper, and chili pepper and oil, and roast them at about 200 C for 30 minutes or until they're soft. To assemble, arrange the pitas on a plate. Spoon over the tomato sauce, sprinkle over the hashweh, and pour on more tomato sauce if you want, and then the leban bettini, and then the garnish. And there you have it, a bit of a spin on Fattet Makdous. Now you'll likely have leftover sauces and meat for this recipe, which you can use for other dishes. And you probably have some great ideas for it, but this is what I do with them. With the tomato sauce, I use them as a base for pizza sauce or ratatouille. I'll serve the leban bettini with grilled or pan-fried meats, or I'll use it as a dressing for a cucumber and onion salad. And the hashweh, I use it to top flatbreads, or to stuff little buns, or to use it as a cottage pie filling, or use it as part of a rice bowl. Special thanks to Fayez Al-Hendi of Amar's Halal Meats in Kitchener and Jawad Khavra of Shawarma Plus of Waterloo for their patience and their tips. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit like and subscribe. And until I upload my next video, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, where you can find me as Cardamom Addict. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to love your library.